Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So we have a huge fight this weekend, man. A huge fight. One of those rare matchups that we get every once in a blue moon in the sport of boxing. Two young, undefeated fighters that really have so much upside. Both extremely talented fighters, very gifted, very skilled, and they have their whole career in front of them. Yet you're seeing these guys put it all on the line, risking that zero, putting their undefeated record on the line versus a guy who is very much so capable of beating them. This is the exact opposite of a cherry pick. This is the exact opposite of just coasting along, man, and not really putting your best foot forward and not really trying to fight the best competition. This is the exact opposite of that. Both of these guys, Frank the Ghost Martin and Michel Ali Rivera, I think that's what he go by. He idolizes Muhammad Ali. Got the same hairstyle and everything, man, but incredible fighter. And I love watching him fight. The same for Frank Martin as well. So this is going to be on December 17th on Showtime. If you have Showtime, it's free. You don't have to pay for a pay-per-view, even though this is one of those fights that's worthy if you're a hardcore boxing fan. A lot of casuals might not know these guys, but if you follow the sport in a lightweight division, you can clearly see that these two guys are two of the most talented guys in the division. So I'm excited for this one, man. I want to give y'all somewhat of a breakdown and a prediction, a final prediction, because it's fight week. And I talked about this fight already. I kind of gave like a preliminary breakdown on what I thought, what to expect as far as a stylistic matchup, but I want to go a little bit more in depth in this video and then also give y'all my final prediction. This is one of those 50-50 fights where either guy can win. So me giving you my prediction is based off of what I know about each guy, is based off of what I've seen on film, and it's based off of my level of comfortability with what I've seen from both guys and who I would have to lean towards in this fight. But I'm telling you, this is a true 50-50 fight where either guy can win. So first and foremost, you have Michel Rivera, who is 24-0, 14 knockouts. You have Frank Martin, who is 16-0 with 12 knockouts. Now, you can see Frank Martin, he has his knockout percentage is higher, but I will say that Michel Rivera, he's been more active, got more fights. I really can't say who has fought the better competition because both guys have been in there with some decent competition at this point in their career. Michel Rivera is actually the younger guy, even though he has more fights. Frank Martin started boxing a little later. He's 27 now. And Michel Rivera is 20, I believe he's 24 years old, 23 or 24 years old. So both of these guys, in my opinion, are in their athletic prime. And, they just at that point in their career where, the skills and the skills, the athletic ability, the talent, all of that is really coming together. And in my opinion, Michel Rivera, even though he's younger, he has just as much, if not more, experience than Frank Martin. So I think this is a pretty even fight when it comes to when you add everything together. You dig what I'm saying? But, both guys have good knockout power. Both of them have hand speed. They both have a really good skill set, a solid foundational skill set just with the fundamentals of boxing. Let's talk about Frank Martin. Frank Martin is a southpaw. In this fight, he will have the reach disadvantage. Michel Rivera will have a reach advantage in this fight, I believe, by 3 inches. And that could be significant depending on how Frank Martin chooses to fight, depending on how Michel Rivera chooses to fight. But Frank Martin, southpaw, just a very well-coached fighter, a very well-studied and well-prepared fighter. He comes in with a game plan. He is coach under Derrick James, one of the best coaches in the sport of boxing. I think he's the absolute best boxing mind in the sport when it comes to coaching and teaching the sport. He's working under Errol the True Spence Jr., working out of the same gym, who is also a great southpaw. And just getting that experience and that tutelage, just being around somebody like that, seeing them work, seeing how they mind works, seeing the adjustments that are made when he's sparring in the gym, and just being able to pick up all of that game, I really believe that makes a difference. And again, it's another southpaw, so it's somebody that he can relate to, somebody that he can kind of, model what he does after. And again, they're coached by the same guy, so you will see a lot of those characteristics that you see in Earl Spence and a Frank Martin when it comes to just the fundamentals, being steadfast, being patient, having a high work rate, going to the body. Frank Martin is a very good body puncher. Fighting on the inside, Earl Spence and Frank Martin both very good inside fighters. Derrick James really focuses on being able to throw crisp, sharp shots on the inside and make your shots count, not waste any punches. Frank Martin does a great job of really picking his shots, and especially on the inside, which I think he's going to have to spend most of his time in this fight because, again, Michel Rivera has the longer reach. He throws really good combinations. He's a very good counter puncher. I think Frank Martin has a really high boxing IQ, and he knows how to position himself in the ring and make adjustments. He knows how to throw the right shots at the right time and really position himself to that way he has an advantage angle wise on his opponent. I think all of those things are going to come into account. Some good footwork. He's an athletic guy, physically strong guy. Haven't really seen his chin tested like that. He did take some shots versus Jackson Marinez. He took a couple of shots. Jackson Marinez had a really good jab, but he was about 6 feet long, rangy guy. And I thought I was pleased to see how Frank Martin was able to close the distance on him and get on the inside so he can do his work. He ultimately stopped that guy in the last round, which was really impressive. So he bringing a lot to the table, man, and I think this is going to be his toughest match by far up until this point. For Michel Rivera, I can say a lot of the same things that I said about Frank Martin about him. A very, very skilled fighter, has pretty much all the tools in ways that these two guys are similar when you talk about their capabilities. Both can throw really good combinations. They both have good hand speed, punching power. I like Michel Rivera's counter-punching ability as well. I like his ability to set guys up, set traps. He does a really good job of setting traps. He loves to throw the right uppercut. He's an orthodox fighter. Of course, Frank Martin is southpaw. Michel Rivera loves to throw a counter right uppercut, and he sets guys up so beautifully for that shot. He can also go to the body. I would like to see him go to the body more. In my opinion, he's more of a headhunter, but he does go to the body when he wants to. He has really good footwork, very fleet of foot, very athletic fighter, high ring IQ himself, physically strong. I really haven't seen his chin tested a whole lot. Sometimes I think he can be a little careless on defense, but in my opinion, that's more so because of the level of competition that he's been fighting and just knowing that he's better than the other guy that's opposite of him. But when you're in a fight like this versus somebody of the caliber of a Frank Martin, you got to be on your P's and Q's. And both of these guys have some lapses and weaknesses that each of them can take advantage of. So that's what's going to be extremely interesting in this fight. I really like Michel Rivera's ability just to control guys at distance, being able to make you miss and make you pay, really keeping you at the end of his punches. I think that's what he does better than most guys in the division. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for both of them in different ways. For Frank Martin, it's going to be tough for him to get underneath the distance of Michel Rivera and get underneath that jab and be able to get his work off and get on the inside and kind of make Michel Rivera a little bit uncomfortable. For Rivera, it's going to be tough for him, even though he's great at using his distance. Frank Martin is really good at cutting the ring off and getting on the inside and getting to the body. So he gonna have to be careful with overextending himself like he does sometimes, and allowing a fighter like Frank Martin to break that pocket and then get close to him so he can take advantage of that. So this is gonna be a great fight. It's one of those fights that you don't want to miss. I think it's pay-per-view worthy, but I'm so happy that we getting it for free. And for my final prediction, man, this is a tough one. I don't think you can go wrong either way if you gambling on this fight. This is a fight that you could definitely make some bread on, because is not a clear, it's really not a clear, concise favorite in my opinion. Either fighter can win. So, it really depends on what you like, what style that you kind of favor more, what you seen from both fighters, who you seen more from. So that I'm gonna take that same approach. I'm gonna have to go with Frank Martin by unanimous decision. I think Frank Martin will find a way to pull out the decision. I would not be surprised if there was a stoppage either way, just because both guys are so sharp when it comes to counter punching and catching you with punches that you don't see. And I think you might see a knockdown or two in this fight. But I'm going to go with Frank Martin by unanimous decision. I think he has the better coach. I think he has, I think there's a certain pedigree with Frank Martin and a certain dog that he got in him, where when he do get to this level, he gonna give it all that he got, man. And both guys dedicated to their craft. Both guys always in phenomenal shape. But I'm gonna go with Frank Martin on this, man. I think Frank Martin is gonna pull out the victory. I think he'll find a way to get to the inside. I think he'll find a way to push Michel Rivera to a point that he really hasn't been before. And you could see him put enough pressure on him to kind of fold him up in the end and stop him. But I think Michel Rivera will be strong enough to finish the fight on his feet. And I'm going to say unanimous decision because of the work rate of Frank Martin. And I think he'll land more shots, more crisp and effective shots. I think he has more power. And I think we'll see Rivera get hurt a couple of times in this fight. So y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. How do y'all feel about this matchup? Who do you got winning and why? Put it down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.